Hey everyone, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we have this 2023 Rivian R1S and we're going to do the rear chrome delete installation for this vehicle. So as you can see, this is how it looks before doing the installation on the rear, and this is how it looks after the installation. So we use the gloss black material in order to black out the entire rear panel. Link for the product will be provided below, but with that being said, let's get started with the installation video. So before we start with the installation for the rear panel, we need to make sure we prep the entire panel. That way there's no contaminants when we're doing the installation on the rear. So all you need to do is spray slip solution onto a clean microfiber towel and then just remove all the contaminants that the panel may have. And then make sure to clean the surrounding area as well, just in case if the film touches the area underneath or on top of the panel. So once you finish prepping the rear panel, now we can start with the installation. For this one, since it is a long piece, we recommend putting it onto the panel on this section first. That way the film doesn't move when we're doing the installation. So just place it, and we're going to focus on aligning this section of the film to this area of the panel here. So make sure you align it and you're covering the chrome. So place it like that for now. And the first thing we're going to do is make sure we tack down this whole area. So you could use your finger to tack it down, or you can also use your squeegee. It's just making sure we secure this area first, and then we're slowly going to squeegee the film little by little to help it tack down around this small curve that you see here. So we need to make sure we help the film tack down on the curve slowly. And we will need to use heat just to help the film loosen up in order to avoid creasing the film. So grab your heat gun, apply heat little by little, and then with your finger or your squeegee, just start helping it tack down until we reach it up to this edge around here. So once you finish applying heat, make sure you're holding the film, and then with your finger, just slowly, little by little, make your way to the top. And make sure you don't leave any air bubbles underneath the film. Make sure it's flat, and you should be good. And then just continue on until you reach to the top. So once you get around this flat area, just make sure when you're squeegeeing the film, you lift it carefully and you squeegee at an angle. That way we avoid creasing the film. So you would just do this throughout the entire panel, squeegee at an angle. And if you need to lift to readjust the film, you can, but it's just taking your time installing this whole piece until you reach to that end. So just use heat in order to loosen up the film. You can use your finger to help it tack down, or your squeegee to help it tack down. Make sure the film cools down before you tack it down, and remove any air as well while you're tacking it down. And if you have excess material on top, that's perfectly fine. Also on the bottom, that's fine, because later on we could just come back and trim off all this excess material. But first we need to make sure everything stays put and we're covering the entire panel. So just continue on until you reach to that end. And if you want to help loosen the film up around this area here to make it easier to squeegee, is to apply heat like how I did it. Just apply it somewhere here in the center before you continue on. You would apply heat and then tack the film down. You would place it here, and then with your squeegee you would just squeegee everything. That way it's a flush finish and you don't have any wrinkles or any bubbles. Just make sure you squeegee at an angle and then just finish it off on top, on the bottom, and then on this side as well. So just make sure to take your time when you're doing this whole process. And if you need to lift the film in order to help remove any fingers, so let's say you have these fingers here, you could lift the film carefully, hold it, and apply heat as you go, and then just help it tack down. So this is a good example right here. You would just lift the film, hold it, apply heat, and we just apply heat in order to help loosen the film, and just split it in half, tack it down on one end, and then just work your way top and then the bottom. So heat will be your best friend when it comes to helping loosen the film and removing the fingers. And it's just taking your time, going at an angle, so you could use your finger or you can use your squeegee. Just go at an angle to tack everything down. And just be careful not to apply too much pressure where the fingers are located. You would just grab your heat gun, hold the film, and apply heat to remove those fingers and tack it down. And then just bring the film up and make sure it's covering everything. So before we move on to trimming off the excess material, go ahead and grab your heat gun and go all around the panel, making sure we heat up the entire film. That way we help the adhesive on the film tack down faster, and also helping the film tack down around the edges. That way once we trim off the material, everything's good to go and there's no chrome showing. So we need to make sure all the edges are being covered, and then we'll trim off. For the top section, you could tuck in the material as much as you can, since there is a small gap, but whatever is excess material, just trim it off. So first try to see how much you could tuck in, and then whatever is still left over, we'll trim it off. So to trim off the excess material, the bumper does have a small gap where you can enter your blade. So carefully find that gap, so it's roughly there, and you just follow the gap until you reach to this end. And then you remove the excess material. As you can see, you're still covering all of the chrome, so you should be good. So just go all around the entire panel, find that gap, and trim off the excess material. For the bottom section, there is another gap as well. Just make sure you create the outline, that way you don't accidentally scratch the lower section of the bumper. So you only need a little bit of the blade popping out into your blade where the gap is located, and trim off the excess material. So it should look like this. Let me show you the example. So as you can see, no chrome is showing, and we should be good. So you would just do the same for the entire section of the panel here and on that end. And then once we're done trimming all the excess material, we can move on to the next piece. So for this last piece that covers this top section here, you could start from either this side or this side, doesn't really matter, just as long as wherever you start, you align it right on the curve and make sure you're covering the chrome as well. So it should be like this. Lift the film carefully, and you can use the top section as the guide in order to align the rest. And that's pretty much it. All you have to do is just grab your squeegee, start tagging everything down. Make sure to remove all the air that's trapped underneath the film if there's any. And if you need help tagging it down around the curves, just lift it and reapply it. Just make sure all of the chrome is being covered. And you can also apply heat just to help the healing process more faster. So just grab your heat gun, apply heat throughout the entire section of the middle panel here. Make sure you seal everything, and then we should be good, and then we can move on to post heating the entire film. And if you have any excess material on the top, go ahead and just trim off so that there's a gap right on top like how we did with the other one here. Make sure you create the outline, insert your blade, and just trim off the excess material. Carefully remove it, and that should be it. And just go throughout the entire panel. If you have any excess material, you just trim it off. Once we finish trimming, move on to the last step, which is post-heating. So the last thing to do once you finish with the installation for the rear panel is to post-heat the entire film. So all you need to do is grab your heat gun, apply heat throughout the entire section of the rear panel that was worked on. Take your time, making sure you apply heat everywhere. And then once you're done with this step, you're done with the installation. Thank you for choosing Bogar Tech Design. As a small business, your support means everything to us. If you loved your product, please drop a review. If you have questions or issues, don't forget to message us via email. Once again, thank you so much for the support from our family to yours. So that concludes the installation video for the rear Chrome Delete installation for the 2023 Rivian R1S. We hope that the video helped you guys out with the installation. Don't forget to drop a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe and turn on that notification bell. That way you're missing any of our upcoming installation videos. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see everyone on the next one.